as we get ready to start the NFL draft within a couple of weeks. We will clearly learn the plans for each team. The main thing we're getting ready to learn is to see if this new setup I'm finding could work. And slow enter draft room. I want to be able to see if I can actually try to see if this will work. Okay. Start. Pause. This is okay. The Bills. Why would the fuck would they do this? No. And as we begin our NFL mock draft, we have the Las Vegas Raiders currently on the clock. I don't think the Bills would trade up to this spot. I think being up here, there's a reason that they're number one. Fernando Mendoza, get ready to learn Vegas, buddy. Like, why would the Bills trade up right now? I don't think that they would trade up for anybody. Not unless they think that there's somebody worse, something to come up to go up for, but no. Now for the Jets, since obviously you know they need a quarterback, but you also know that Dante Moore decided to back out, that obviously then means you have to come up with a new person to be that mainstay. Because if you're gonna get a defense that lost a lot of pieces last year, I think in this spot I could see the argument for Arvell Reese going to the Jets. However, I think it should be David Bailey. They need edge help with the team. They don't get a lot of pressure. They had 0 turnovers this entire thing, and that makes no sense for them not to do it. Obviously, with the Cardinals, if I were them, I would personally try to trade. I actually would trade back. Now, if I was the Cardinals, I think that trading back with say a team that needs a defensive player, they would because I don't really see them wanting to bolster the defense when you can find a lot of guys later down the board. So, in my opinion, I think it should be a team that needs a franchise quarterback that needs to go up high into the draft to steal somebody because there's a lot of quarterbacks that went that didn't have an opportunity to do so. The first couple teams to come to mind are the Steelers being one, the Bucks I could see being one, the Falcons for obvious reasons, and those are like the main ones. But the sneaky ones aren't really obvious. But the main one I could see is obviously the Rams. But I think with them having a pick up here soon, I think, where they traded it, they are going to not want to trade as heavily. But if I was the Cardinals, I would trade back to get a lot of draft capital because this class is actually really good. So if I was them, I know a team that would probably want to trade up for a defensive player. And the only one that comes to mind off the top of my head immediately would be the Patriots. Give up pick 1 and they would take obviously pick 31, pick 125. They would also give up their first round pick next year and a third round pick next year. Well, second round pick next year. I don't feel like they would do that. I feel like they would throw in a bunch of stuff for it. I think it would be. But I do think that they would trade up. Like a couple of these teams would trade up to help their defense. But I feel like it would. But a lot of the teams that I could see trying to make a couple trades, because I feel like it had to be a player. to push the needle over. So I'm gonna have to push. So I'm obviously just gonna put this, but they wouldn't obviously give up all their draft capital. I think they give up the one pick at 125. I think they give up a second round pick next. I think they give up their first round pick because they can see that their window's now, and they would jump up for they would trade up for a player for that defense of theirs. You've got Christian Gonzalez, Christian Barmore, but you need another defensive anchor to help the team. They needed some pass rush badly against that Seattle team. So this is where I think Arvell Reese would go. I think he fits the system that they need. I think it would work, and it just connects. The Titans. They got J.C. Latham, they got Peter Skoronski, but they need more help on that offensive line. I think you've got enough resources that you brought in for Cam Ward, and I still think you still got two really good running backs on that offense. So for that, I don't think they take think they take a running back. I don't like it being this high. I respect Jeremiah Love. He's one of my favorites, but I don't think it's right. If I was them, I would focus on Francis Malinois or Sonny Styles to help that defense because they were one of the worst last year. For me, I'm going to give him Francis Malinois out of Miami. He fits what they need to be, and it just works. The Giants at 5, yes, this is where Sonny Styles goes.
Why are you whispering on the phone, Michael?
I'm recording a video. This is where Sonny Styles goes. And then the Browns, this is a no-brainer. This is where Jeremiah Love goes. They need a running back badly. With how the team that they ran were, it would make sense. It would be a Browns things to do. Buffalo wants a trade-off so bad. Do they really think that there's somebody worth it for them? I think with obviously you losing a bunch of your offense, but you need somebody that's actually young enough to be on that team. So this is where Caleb Downs would go. They need youth in that defense. It'd be stupid. The 7th pick to I don't. It doesn't really say the team. Okay, this is the Saints. The Saints.
12/15/1959.
Yes, I think this is where Cardinal Tate goes. I think that connection there works. Chiefs. This is where I think they take a corner and they take Mansour Delane. I think he fits perfectly for them. Obviously, with now the Giants losing Sexy Dixie, I think this is where they pick up Ruben Bain. He would fit perfectly with this type of defense, and with John Harbaugh coming in, it just works. Dolphins, they need everything. They need everything under the sun. This is where I think the Dolphins would actually take a offense lineman. Because if you're going to trust Malik Willis, you get him some help to stay upright. And plus, you find enough receivers that are serviceable. So I would think they take Spencer Fano out of Utah, bolster that line, and help them keep that team upright. Cowboys. The defense was so terrible, but I feel like it's not I'm trying to think of what the Cowboys would do. Because they are one of the dumbest teams in the NFL right now. If I had to make a bet, obviously CD is still there. You've got George Pickens who's there. You don't really got a running back. And I feel like it would be a Dallas Cowboys thing to do. That they would stay at this pick and take a running back. And I think it'd be a Cowboys thing to do. But if I'm talking about what they should fucking do, you need help on the defense. Get a defensive player on that team. And I like the idea of him going there, but I feel like knowing them with obviously the corners situation being somewhat of an issue, but you don't really got any safeties out there helping. So I think Dylan Thielen out of Oregon would be their best bet. The next pick is the Rams. Now, if you want to talk about possibly a steal here, this is where I think the Rams, I don't think they trade back. I think this is when they take their predecessor to the team. And this might shock some people. I think they reach for one of the quarterbacks. The only issue is, would they really reach for Ty Simpson? I think yes, but I also think that they would. I think they would with Ty Simpson because of the Alabama connection and going to really a solid offensive-minded coach with Alabama, going to one of the best with Sean McVay, and learning behind Stafford for a year. That's actually a genius idea. But I really, really, really like Carson Beck going there. He fits as somebody that would be perfect in the McVay system. Confidence. He's got the accolades. He's been in the big games. He literally was carrying Miami through a lot of the playoffs, even with that defense being scary. I think Carson Beck is one that goes here. Baltimore. Baltimore, this is a no-brainer. For Baltimore, they need help everywhere. And I think right now they would go with, well, they just lost Tyler Linderbaum. Yeah, so I think they would take this interior one from Penn State. The Bucks, you don't really need a receiver. You got a bunch of them. Well, actually, you lost Mike Evans, but you've seen Emeka Buka enough to see it. You got Chris Godwin. You can't really put another receiver in that system. If I was the Bucks, I would try to get somebody that can help stay healthy because I know that they lost their best linebacker. But losing one of your best corners and clearly showing that your team is not good defensively and you miss in the playoffs, I think they go with Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. I think he fits here for this team. Next team on the clock is the other Jets, and this is where I think it's fitting. I think they take a receiver out of USC. I think it makes too much sense for them. It works for what they want to do. Okay, with the Lions trade back. Now this one I could actually see. The Buffalo Bills are jumping up with jump ups 9 spots. They'd give up a fifth, but they also give up their third and fifth next year. And knowing the Lions, they can use this as ammo to possibly make a big trade. This one I can actually get behind. I'll accept it. Now the Bills are on the clock. So now the fun part is, I believe if the Bills are correctly on the clock, says the Vikings are. I really think that this team just needs a number 2 receiver. This is where I think Jordan Tyson goes. He just fits for what I feel like that they would want. Buffalo moving up already is enough. For the Panthers, I like them getting a tight end. I actually think that that's their best move. I think they take a tight end in the mid 20s and stuff like that. Tight ends are worth the risk. The Cowboys again. Okay, yeah, Bills, you're doing too much. The Cowboys, they would probably take an offensive lineman at this spot. But what they should do, I like them taking an edge. They want their next Micah Parsons. I think that getting from Miami would be better. From Pittsburgh, this is where I think they take an offensive lineman. I don't think they take a receiver. I think they need another lineman to bolster that team. And with Mike McCarthy coming in, he's gonna make the team be really good. The Chargers would be an interesting situation because they should have been further. They should have been decent in the playoffs, but they didn't really do much because they threw 4 interceptions. I think in this spot, the Chargers should focus on just retooling, and I think that you got your 2 tackles of the future if they can stay healthy. You don't really got a tight end that's there. You don't have a number one wide receiver, but you really don't have anybody on the defense that's really making your help easier because you're relying on Khalil Mack, who's old. But I think if I was them, I would take Emmanuel McKill-Warren out of Toledo. They need some defensive help. You let Asante Samuel Jr. walk for nothing, but I also think he works in terms of just getting you a stability in terms of bringing in a fresh face. Now the Eagles, would they take an offensive lineman? Yes. However, I also know for a fact that they're going to be a team that needs help with finding their next star. They lost a lot of people on defense. I don't think they should take a tackle at this spot. I think it's too big of a risk. Well, it's not really a pressing need. You've still got your 2 tackles. That's why if I was them, I would take TJ Parker out of Clemson. I think they need a defensive player. They need some more pass rush help uh with Jalen Carter being there because that's your only real like pass rusher. You don't really got anybody else that's stepping up to the plate to help. So I truly think that that's their best fit. The Browns. Oh, Browns, 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 Browns. Where the fuck do we begin? If you're gonna trust Shador, then it's very simple. Get that O-line some work. That's where I think the Alabama tackle would go. I think it makes too much sense. The Bears, I think it's in the same boat in terms of you need offensive lineman help. I like Blake Miller. I like them going after offensive linemen to help them out. Now the Lions traded back. Them losing Frank Ragnow does sting, but I think now with them not having anybody else to really worry about, I think they take their offensive tackle that they wanted here. The Niners, you've got Mike Evans, you've got Ricky Pearsall, you've got Brandon Ayuk, but you don't have anybody else that's really going to do something for you. I think what you should be doing is having some more help in the wide receiver room because you've got Christian McCaffrey and you're letting Brock Purdy decide all of this. The mock drafts are also thinking take that. But you don't have any help with Nick Bosa on that defense. You got Fred Warner, but you don't got another pass rushing help, and you lost your best safety, I think, this season to the Broncos. This is why I think they take a corner in Avion Terrell. I think he fits what they need, and I think he can play safety as well to help them back there. The Texans, this is where I think they take a receiver. You need Nico Collins to get some help. He has nobody else that's helping him get up to the level of the team that they need to be. So I think this is where Omar Connor Jr. goes. I think this is where they get it. They get the help that they want, and it gives them another legitimate weapon. The Chiefs, I think they get Denzel. I think they get a receiver. I believe Tyreek Hill's going back there, but I also think that they need to get another receiver because Xavier Worthy was a bust. Rashee Rice is an idiot. You don't really have a receiver outside of Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce had his worst season in ages. Dolphins, this is where I could see the argument that they take the last one and Kevin Conception. I think this is where it makes sense, but you still got Jalen Waddle, you still got Devon Achane, and I like the idea that you took already your first offensive lineman, you bring in a receiver to help Malik Willis make sure that he can stay good enough, and I think that works. I think it makes sense, it fits, and it should work in terms of the long-term story. Now the Cardinals. Cardinals. They traded back. This is where I think they don't wait anymore. I think this is where they take their French. This is where I think they take a quarterback. I legitimately think that they traded back for one of these quarterbacks. I think they take Ty Simpson. I truly don't believe that he doesn't go out in the first that he doesn't get picked out of the first round. And finally, the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. They lost a running back, but they still got Zach Charbonnet. They lost their best some of their defensive players. You lost Boye Mafe, which is where I think they take somebody to help Byron Murphy. I don't think they take a corner. I think they have enough confidence in the ones that they have. I like them taking Zion Young or one of these two edge players. I think that they need some help there. I think it just makes sense for what they have. I think it works for the logic reasons on how to make the teams be balanced. I think it also works out in terms of how a lot of them would go. I'm gonna look at some of the grades that they give this. Like Ty Simpson going to the Cardinals, that perfectly fits. I think you trade back, you gain a couple picks, but you also gain another player. Because I think that the Bills, if they keep wanting to trade up so badly, that they really, 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 really wanted a player. I think it depends on who they took, because I don't think I got to see who they took. Crap. Oh, here you are. The ones that the Bills took. They took they took an edge out of Auburn. Okay, I think that them taking an edge actually makes some sense. I do think that the mock drafts that I picked are pretty solid. I'm like 80% certain I'm going to be wrong on a lot of them, but I think that if I was some of these teams that actually had a brain cell, I feel like that the Browns would be the most logical team to take Jeremiah Love, which is why I had him falling. because I don't see a world where the Titans would throw away their two running backs that they currently have. Plus, you can find a undrafted guy with fresh treads on the tires and just take Jeremiah Love top five. Mm-mm. I think that they need help on the offensive line way more than they need a running back. Because you can't really protect you can't really have Cam Ward try to throw the ball short if he has no line to protect him to begin with. So I think that the decisions that I kind of made are accurate to what I think they should be, but I also feel like if they don't actually happen, I understand, and I feel like it just makes sense for the long-term outlook, but I think the short term as well. But that'll be do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like